Welcome back, everyone. As usual, we are two dudes talking 80s. I'm John. That's my partner in crime, Lewis,
Hello.
who looks very lumberjacky today. Um, what is it, cold out there?
It's always cold out here, man.
I remember when you moved out there, you insisted that it wasn't cold out there, that, where you lived was different.
Oh, we get nice weather here. It's just not during the summertime when everybody else gets nice weather.
Ah, okay. So instead, you dressed like a lumberjack. It's been crazy nice out here. A little too hot for my taste, but what are you gonna do? It's everyone. There's a lot of people that are experiencing far worse weather, so I really have no complaints. I'll just shut up about it. So anyway, picture this in what probably summer months of 1987. Lewis and I were much younger, probably not much better looking, but we were younger. Cruising around either in his Monte Carlo or my Mustang. It's a Friday, Saturday night. It's a cruise night, and this is one of our go-to cassette tapes. And we're talking about the self-titled album from the band Leatherwolf. Not a very popular, well-known band, but they should be. And I kind of go back and forth which one I like better, and we'll get into that. But yeah, love me some Leatherwolf. And did I paint a picture there for why we decided to talk about this album in particular?
Absolutely accurate, 100%. And yeah, it's we'll talk about this more, but they were a great band. I don't know why they didn't, you know, make more of an impression.
Yeah. Well, they actually had an EP that came out a couple years prior, 1985, called Endangered Species. The strange thing about it is I have never heard it. I
Hmm.
know you haven't because you're just looking at me like you didn't even know that, and I know you don't really buy EPs, and we'll get into that some other time. But do you remember the first time you heard about Leatherwolf?
Yeah, it was through you, man, and I want to say it was in your Mustang, and off of that cassette that you so well described.
The crazy thing about it is I saw Leatherwolf. Probably the first time I saw them was in San Francisco, and they were opening up for Law's Rocket. And unfortunately, it was one of those things where their image, I immediately wrote them off simply based upon the image, right? That was back in the time. Oh, that's poser, and it was really kind of a disservice because they were such a great band, and we'll talk about a little bit more about what's going on with them today. But I didn't give them the time of day. And then I saw them in LA where Law's Rocket opened up for them. And again, I don't think I paid much attention to them. And it's strange, right? Because that's probably around the time Law's Rocket's second album was coming out. And they didn't really dress that dissimilarly from the way Law's Rocket dressed for that second album. But anyway, so I didn't really pay much attention to it or to the band. I should have. But I do remember that when Headbangers Ball, um, is that the shirt you're wearing? Oh, look at you.
That is,
No,
that is,
yeah.
man.
Good call. When Headbangers Ball came out, and they showed the first video for The Calling from Leatherwolf, I was like, huh, there's something about these guys. And I went out and I bought the cassette. And I fell in love with the first album. I thought the first album was absolutely amazing. They had a second album, Street Ready. I enjoyed that, just not quite as much, but this one really did for me. So let's start. That's my introduction to Leatherwolf. And you've never seen them live, right?
I have never seen them live, unfortunately.
No. Yeah, I know. They probably came on a school night or something for you or a work night.
They probably did.
They probably did. How many shows you must have missed?
I know, man.
Um,
Kills
Getting
me.
the album, like I said, it came out in 1987. It came out on Island Records. Island Records was not really a hotbed for heavy metal acts, and that might have been one of the reasons, right? Why they didn't do better. They're assigned to a record label that's traditionally doesn't do heavy metal. Um, I'm sure it had its pluses and minuses when you're thinking about like, okay, if they don't have a lot of heavy metal, we're probably going to be a priority act for them because the metal scene was growing so much. Don't know how much they did for them. And Island Records, I was shocked to find out they've been around since like 1959.
Wow,
So
really?
yeah, they put out like some Caribbean jazz music or something and grew from that. So they've been around. Um, Kevin Beamish was the producer on this album. Can you name any albums Kevin Beamish did?
I don't know. I've never heard of Kevin Beamish's name until about 3 seconds ago.
Okay, well, Kevin Beamish did a little album. I wasn't that successful, but it's a good album. REO Speedwagon, High Infidelity.
No way. Wow.
Yeah, probably one of the most popular albums of the 80s for sure. He also did Saxon's Crusader, another one of my favorites. Y&T's Contagious, and he did the last MSG album, which was the Macaulay Schenker group, and it was called just MSG. And to be honest, I don't think I've ever heard that. So now I got to go out and find that. But that was the last collaboration, at least, studio wise, for Robin McCauley, Michael Schenker. So
Huh.
Kevin Beamish again directed, produced this album. Um, and I gotta say, listening to it the last few days, kind of reacquaint myself with it. I don't even feel like there's a bad track on this album. What were your, I know you went back and listened to it recently, very recently. What are your thoughts on the album now?
I listened to it and the last track on it I thought was okay. It was, the Rule of the Night.
Yeah,
But as I was listening to it, I thought that there was only two songs that really, highly appealed to me. But it turned out that there was three. Completely forgotten about the third one, and that's probably my favorite one. So I love let's see, was it Share no, Princess of Love. Princess of Love, the one with the keyboard. And it's great because the keyboard starts off and then the guitars start coming in just chunky. And it's like a freaking steamroller, man. I love it. I love that song. It's probably my favorite song on the album.
that's funny because I was listening and I was like, that's probably my least favorite song on the album is that one. Um, Going back and listening to it, there's so many great songs. I really like Rise or Fall. I
Yes.
thought that was great. The Calling. Their cover of Creedence Clearwater Revival. Try and say that one fast. Um, oh my God, why am I drawing a blank on the name? Oh, Bad Moon Rising. Jeez. Um, I think that's one of my all-time favorite cover songs. Like I think that is like the standard of cover songs. I love that version. I think they made it such a great version. And then one that's probably Cry Out, where it starts out and you think it's gonna be this slow melodic ballad type song, and all of a sudden somebody yells, "Hey," probably Michael Oliveri, and it goes into something completely different and just a fantastic, fantastic song. I really enjoy every song, but like I said, if you had to give me one that's probably my least favorite, it's probably your favorite song. So,
That's hilarious. Yeah.
were you a fan of the Bad Moon Rising cover?
I thought it was good. I'm not quite as passionate behind it as you are. But I think it's a good cover. I mean, they definitely, made it their own. So, but yeah, I can think of a lot of other covers that I think are stronger.
Name one. Name one.
Oh God, any of the ones that Van Halen did. You really got me. Pretty Woman.
Okay, I
I
was I was thinking 80s. See, Pretty Woman, we're getting off on a tangent here, but Pretty Woman never really counted for me. You know why?
was that
They forgot a set of lyrics.
did they really?
Go back and listen to Roy Orbison, and then go back and listen to Van Halen. And I guess David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen were having an argument in the studio. It's like, do you know the fucking song? And he's like, yeah. Do you know the fucking song? Yeah, I know it. and they completely forgot a verse.
That's awesome.
So yeah, there's that. But no, I don't know, man. Bad Moon Rising, it's up there for me. I'll put it up there with Am I Evil, Metallica's version. I just God, I love that cover. Um, I was surprised you didn't mention either The Calling or Rise or Fall.
Oh, th those two are the other two standout songs for me, definitely. And before I listened to the album, I was going to say that Rise or Fall. Well, before I re-listened to the album today, I was going to say that was Rise or Fall. But yeah, when what I keep forgetting, the Princess of Love, which is a ridiculous title that irks me. I hate it. But the song is really really cool. So yeah, it surprised me, but I really really enjoyed that one.
Oh, come on. If Dio called the song that, you would think it thought it was amazing.
No, I really wouldn't.
Yeah. One of the interesting things about Leatherwolf is in a heavy metal band context, they had the triple axe attack. Michael Oliveri, the singer, could also play guitar amazingly well. They had Jeff Gayer and oh god, Carrie Howe. And that was the one thing when I saw them live that really stood out for me. The first, even though I wasn't really paying that much attention, at one point during their set, they did a guitar solo. And I don't remember exactly the dynamics of it, but I do know that was around the time that Jeff Watson had kind of introduced the eight finger technique from You Can Still Rock in America. And all of a sudden, you had three guys up there doing the eight finger technique in unison, and it was mind blowing. It's because not a lot back then, not a lot of people did it. In this one, you had three guitar players in unison doing it. I remember just being absolutely blown away by that. And that was absolutely incredible.
And you touch on something that's really powerful about the band, and that is their guitar playing. It's just top notch. It's almost it's Guitar Hero level, playing. And yeah, Michael Oliveri sings, plays the keys, plays guitar. What a freaking talent, man! Just amazing, amazing.
Yeah, very, very, very talented, as they all are. It's a pretty incredible band. So I gotta ask, and did you go back and rewatch the video for The Calling?
I didn't, and I'm probably happy that I didn't.
It was actually wasn't bad
Yeah.
as 80s videos went on a budget. It basically showed them. It looks like they're playing like in someone's backyard. And shout out to the woman in like the denim that's like shaking her fist and other things as well in that video. God bless her. She's probably like a grandmother now, and but she has that to look back on and go, that's what I used to look like. But anyway, so it shows them in that context. It also shows them a live performance. It shows them kind of going around town putting up Leatherwolf flyers. They're printing their own shirt, which didn't even look like a Leatherwolf shirt. It was like white, and I couldn't even really tell it was supposed to be a Leatherwolf shirt. I'm assuming it is. Showed them like backstage a little bit. Got an idea of the live performance. Um, and the final shot is of them leaving the club or the arena, whatever they're supposed to be playing, and they're basically attacked by a bunch of women that are running at them as they're leaving the club or the venue, whatever. So again, there are far more cringeworthy Billy Squire videos that were out there from the '80s, Billy Squire. But it was kind of fun. The one thing that cracked me up is there's a scene where they're like, in the going to of I'm assuming going to the venue in this little car, and it was kind of like meant to be comedic, like they're throwing all these guitars in the back of the vehicle, and I think it's the drummer that's sitting on top of the hood. And I'm like, so everyone's working except the drummer. You go, that's not typically what I remember, but okay, lead singers. Uh, not you, Norm. But yeah, I don't remember the drummers never being the ones that would help. So
That's funny. Yeah,
that's my breakdown of the calling video.
I'll definitely have to go back and watch the video because I don't think I've ever seen it before, to be honest.
Yeah, like I said, not too shabby. One of the things I found kind of interesting about it, because that was the '80s. They are an LA based band, and you think LA bands, heavy metal, hard rock in the '80s. Seems like everyone was playing Charvel and Jackson. They're all playing BC Rich, which was kind of interesting, and I'd love to know how that came about. Why they went with BC Rich, and why they had a sponsorship with them, because you didn't see a lot of 80s artists all playing BC Rich. Maybe one member would play, but you didn't see them all. Kind of, and of course, before we started this, I'm like looking up BC Rich guitars for sale. I'm like, huh, let me go back and see what I can find. Have you ever owned a BC Rich?
My ex-wife owned a BC Rich, the Iron Bird. I think you
Oh,
remember that one, the white one.
I
Yeah.
vaguely remember it. Yeah, I had a cheap version of the BC Rich Mockingbird, a white one, because I remember watching the show Fridays, which we've talked about in the past. They had Jefferson Starship and Craig. I think it's Chiquiso. I'm probably butchering it, but he had a white Mockingbird, and I always thought that was super cool. So yeah, that's why I had a white Mockingbird.
Nice, nice. So let me ask you something, John. So
Talk to you, Will,
we touched on this a little bit. I wanted to circle back on it.
please.
So they had amazing chops, right? Amazing guitar playing, solid songwriting, right? Great vocalist, very catchy choruses. Why do you think that they didn't make more of an impression on the music industry?
Wow. That's a great question. I have to feel like there was something with Island Records. I kind of alluded to it. Like, you probably sign with them and think, okay, great, we're the only band that's on this label. That's, this hard rock, heavy metal. I think Island had you too at that time too.
Hmm.
Not that they were the same kind of band, but I don't know. I think it was promotion, and I don't remember them doing a lot of touring. Because I do recall that once I got into them, I don't remember them showing up to the Bay Area, on any tour, because I likely would have gone and seen them either on this one or Street Ready, and I don't remember anything about them coming around again. Maybe they did and I missed it. I don't know, but so I think label support and lack of getting on a really good tour to get in front of the necessary audiences to kind of build upon the momentum, because you know you had the Calling on the first album. On Street Ready you had Hideaway, which were minor hits. They did get some airplay on Headbangers Ball, and but it just never went further. But I mean, that would be the only thing I could think of. And the other thing is, I feel like, at least in the United States, right at that time, they kind of fell in the category of maybe like an Armored Saint, Sabotage, bands like that, Vicious Rumors, where they were heavy, but they weren't thrash, and they were maybe too heavy for the people that like the glam stuff. Um, so I think they were kind of in a no man's land where some of the really, really great bands lived, unfortunately, where they just weren't one or the other extreme to get that attention. Anyway, that's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, I think your second point's really good, because they are not quite the glam metal band, and they're not quite thrash, and they've almost carved their own niche, and that could have something to do with it. Um, Perhaps the promotion, because again, I never heard of them until you introduced me to them. And yeah, I remember me like asking for your advice. It's like, man, I need to get this. I want to get one of their CDs. Which one should I get? Should I get the first one or should I get the second one, Street Ready? And I just finally decided to get the first one. And it's so weird, man. Looking at this thing, going, I've owned this for 30 years, over 30 years. How do I own anything for 30 years? But
It's
yeah,
probably
I'm glad I got that
probably
one.
closer to 40.
Yeah, maybe,
Well,
maybe.
it came
Yeah,
out it came out in 87,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you're closer to 40 than you are 30.
That's scary, man.
I know. It's nuts.
And it's not in the cellophane.
Wow. And you even listened to it today.
I did. And it was actually really cool. I enjoyed it. I was putting away the groceries and stuff, and I was just listening to it in the background. It's like, oh man, I'd forgotten about this one. Oh, I'd forgotten about that one too. And it was really cool to be reintroduced into it.
Yeah. Did you ever buy the second one, Street
I
Ready?
never did. I never did.
No, they released a live album too, and many years later, but I have that too. And they also did an album with Wade Black, who sang with Crimson Glory for a while. I want to say it was World Asylum, and I bought it. I wasn't really impressed with it, and then they redid it with Michael Oliveri, but for whatever reason, I never bought it again. I didn't buy that version with Michael Oliveri. Maybe I should. I think that would kind of change my views on that album. The Wade Black thing, it's nothing wrong with him as a singer. It just didn't have that special something that I think there's something to be said for that band, which, Leatherwolf still exists. They still play. The sad thing is, and again, we're not privy to the ins and outs, but the only original member that's still in the band is the drummer, Dean Roberts.
Oh wow.
I guess he owns the name, and so there's been a lot. I've read up on it. There's a lot of backfighting and everything else. Like Michael Oliveri was back for a while, then he left again. So Leatherwolf still exists. They still play. I think they just put out an album too. Haven't heard it. Don't know much about it. And in addition to that, there is actually a band called Hail Mary, and I saw them last year at oh god, I think it was called the Gates of Metal Fest. So Hail Mary was one of the bands along with Vicious Rumors and Riot. And Hail Mary actually has the original triple axe attack from Leatherwolf. Jeff Gare, Carrie Howe, and Michael Oliveri. So, they were supposed to do a classic Leatherwolf set. They played some Hail Mary stuff, but the Leatherwolf stuff that they played was absolutely amazing. Um, and then I saw them when I moved out to LA. I think it was like in 2000, before GPS, 2000, 2001. I went to try to go see them, and God, they were like in Santa Monica or something. And this is when you still had to like map things out. And I sucked at doing that, and especially, when you don't have anybody there in the car with you and you don't know the area and you're driving, you're trying to look at street signs and it's dark, you don't know the area, and
Yeah.
did I miss something? And I couldn't find the venue, so I never did make it to see him then. I think I saw him maybe a few months later, which was pretty much the original lineup, and they were incredible. So that would probably been about 2000, 2001. And like I said, it's the last time I saw, essentially what you would consider Leatherwolf was, October of last year with Hail Mary. So,
Very
but,
cool. Very, very cool. It's cool that you've seen them so many times.
yeah, I like I said, I wish I had seen them more, and I wish I had appreciated them more. So as a keyboard player, they used a lot of keyboards, surprisingly. Was there any, you mentioned Princess of Love, best title ever. Was there any other than that, were any keyboards that really appealed to you on the album?
I thought was it Share a Dream? Share a Dream. I thought that that was it was very tasteful. It was very appropriate for the song. It was a very simple line that he came up with, but it was very catchy and it fit really, really well. So I like that as well. I'm trying to think of others other than, what we already talked about, and nothing else is really sticking out in my brain.
All right. Um, Cry Out has a really nice keyboard portion as well. I forgot. Did I ask and did you answer, or did you switch it up? Or I was just thinking of asking. This is what happens when you get old. Did you ever buy Street Ready?
Yeah, you did ask, and I never
No,
did.
you never
So,
did.
yeah, I bought the first one, and for a while, I don't know if it's still the case, but they wouldn't print anymore, right? These were actually pretty rare, but I think they started printing them again. I think I remember us having a discussion about that.
Now that you've reacquainted yourself with the first album, are you any closer to getting Street Ready now?
Yeah, I think I'll do that. Because I dug it. I really enjoyed it, and if Street Ready is half as good as this one, I'll be happy.
I think it's a little bit. I think I remember even when you asked me back in the day, I said this one, the first one probably would appeal to you more. The second one's a little bit more straightforward. And that's the other thing is don't get me wrong, I love Street Ready as well, but I'd be really curious to find out that if there was any, if that was a natural progression of the songwriting, or if in fact they were kind of, told, hey, like, cut out the longer songs, let's make them a little bit more compact, let's make them more straightforward and, a little simpler. So again, I would love to know. It was hard even just for the intro, just to find photos of them back in the 80s. Like it's kind of shocking that more stuff doesn't exist of them.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad. Yeah, for anybody listening, if you're a metalhead, you got to give these guys a listen if you haven't heard of them before.
Yeah.
They're pretty insane.
Yeah. Great guitar playing, like you said, really great vocals. You're not gonna hear Jeff Tate like vocals, but fantastic singing anyway. I don't even know who I would really compare him to. A vocal comparison for him.
I don't, but just insane harmonies, man. Just lots and lots of harmonies, and just really, really good, really enjoyable.
You know who played with them for a very brief period? I was shocked to find out.
No,
Joey Tafola
from
from Joey Tafola. He
oh,
was oh, I thought you knew or were familiar. Joey Tafola actually was an artist. I don't know if he did like one or two albums when all the shredding was very popular. Joey Tafola was one of the guitar players on Shrapnel Records.
oh,
And if I remember correctly, which I probably don't, I want to say Key Marcello was actually a guest on Joey Tafola's album. So, and funny thing is, when I used to be a police officer, I actually went to his house or his apartment, and it's Joey Tafola. I'm like, are you the Joey? And it was, yes, that same one in the same. He wasn't in any way, shape, or form being questioned by the police or had any criminal activity. There was a reason I had to go there, but I make it perfectly clear he was not under any investigation whatsoever. We just had to go out to his location. But no police, he was not arrested. He was not handcuffed, wasn't a suspect. Geez, I guess I shouldn't have opened my mouth on that one. Great guy
was
too. Very, very cool guy. He was actually shocked that somebody, remembered that. Probably,
wow.
the cop even more strange for him to remember that. But good dude, man. Good dude.
Did you get to talk to him for like a lengthy amount of time, or?
No, not really. I mean, it was, like the usual kind of stuff, like, when I'd go to some of these people's houses, um, you talk and, communicate about whatever and
Yeah,
you bring it up, but you wouldn't get really into it too. I felt the need to be always very professional,
yeah,
right?
that's understood, man.
So,
Absolutely understood.
but you had to be professional. So. Anyway, I think we've exhausted our love of Leatherwolf, but hopefully, anytime we do these, there's always the hope and the goal that somebody's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna check this out, and hopefully you turn them on to some new music, from the '80s that they've never heard, and that they appreciate it just as much as you and I do, because, like you said, the fantastic band probably should have been a lot bigger. Their career ended very prematurely because they broke up after Street Ready, and again, you don't really know why. At least I haven't really read up on why they broke up. Um, but by the time that they, were reunited, it was too late. They weren't going to get, to the heights that they should have. And maybe they never would have anyway, right? Because when Street Ready came out, music scene started to turn, but
Yeah.
still amazing, amazing talent. Just beautiful music. And I'll take it to my grave, man. Bad Moon Rising, one of the absolute best covers I've ever heard in my life.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think we're done with this. As usual, please hit the like, hit the subscribe, and most importantly, go check out Leatherwolf. Um, and if you do check them out and you hadn't heard them before, let us know what you think. Hopefully, we turned you on to something new, and you're gonna love it. And I think that's it, Lou. As always, brother, you got anything you want to add?
Ain't got nothing, man. This is
Ain't
a good
got
one.
nothing.
Ain't got nothing.
Ain't nothing but a G thing, baby. All right. Well, as usual, brother, take us out.
Peace out, everyone.
Thank you, guys.